And are there any tips that you would give? Let's say you're in that situation, fast forward back, Garyvee, 16 years old, your parents say they're stacked against you, don't want you to do this, don't want you to do that, with all the threats in the world at you. What would you, in that context, in that situation, as the kid, what would you do to get around that? Obviously, pick one is obviously... Pick one, but like, how do you move?
But you have to understand it's that easy, meaning, if your parents are gonna kick you out of the house, if you feel like you're ready to go start your business, leave.
Take the sacrifice, yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with the sacrifices, they just want the upside of entrepreneurship.
Oh, exactly.
They want the cars and the girl.
The Instagram.
Spa. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what it looks like on Instagram, yeah.
I fucking ate shit for fucking 2 decades.
Yep.
I didn't make any content for 15 years.
Yep.
I didn't tell anybody what I was doing, what I was gonna, I fucking lived the execution and then I talked. So, you know, if you're such a tough guy, if you're such a tough gal, if you're gonna be such a great entrepreneur, show me.
Yeah.
Go live with 6 people. Let me tell you, first of all, kids, your parents will blink first. When your parent yells at you and says, if you're so tough and you're not gonna get out of the house, as soon as you start packing, 8 out of 10 parents are gonna change the conversation. And the 2 that aren't, which I respect actually, they're gonna admire you for succeeding and they'll be there to take you back when you suck.
Yep.
Because let's remind everybody who's listening who's 16, 95% of you are gonna fail.
Yeah.
Let's just get into the math of success around entrepreneurship.
Oh, I see it every day, yeah. I totally agree.
Sounds real easy. You're gonna build a huge media company on Instagram and have 50 Instagram accounts and make millions getting shout outs.
So off that though, like for example, when you're setting expectations as a 16-year-old who starts, whether they start flipping, whether they start any type of other business, how do you set expectations without the expectation of building a $150 million media business? How do you set that? What do you aim for?
I tell them that...
Do you aim high, aim low?
No, I tell them like, why don't you just take one step at a time? The next 10 years are gonna suck.
Yep.
Are you willing to eat that? If you are, you're in a good spot. If you want to be 23 and partying at VIP clubs at the highest buildings in this city because you're gonna crush it so much, and you're gonna show your diamond necklace and your Maserati on Instagram, and you're gonna be able to floss into perpetuity, you're gonna fucking lose.
Yeah, and for those kids who, you know, like, you saying that puts me in a place where I'm like, you know, the fear of failure. Because I know that being an entrepreneur so young, you've got so many people stacked against you saying, well, what if this, you're not smart enough, you don't have money, you don't have a degree, you don't have all this stuff going for you. What would you say to kids who are fearing failure because they're starting so young, starting with so little, and starting with so much riding on it? Don't
judge the end of the first quarter. Get into a mindset where let's judge if this was right in 15 years when I'm 30 and still a kid.
So the first quarter's 15 years. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
You know, like, you know, the other thing that people don't understand is, like, for example, let's use you right now, right?
Yeah.
So you think about this. If I'm you, what I would have been thinking, bless you, and what I think is, ooh, this is a big get with Gary. This is gonna be a big moment. Like, I think that way. The thing I learned 26 years later,
it's one stepping stone. It's not. Yeah.
It's never as big as you think.
It's 1 out of 10. Yeah, exactly.
It's just a long game.
Yeah, exactly.
There is no interview you're gonna get. There is no flip you're gonna get. There is no exit you're gonna get. It's a forever game.
Yeah.
And people don't sign up for forever. They sign up for, I'm gonna slam it, and then this is gonna happen. Because they value the trophies more than the process.
Yep.
They value what they get out of entrepreneurship, not entrepreneurship itself. This generation is disrespecting entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think it's interesting too, because like, that was just at the event then, the NAC, you speak at the Salvo, and
let me expand on that.
Yeah, okay, go.
This generation's disrespecting entrepreneurship because they're not doing it because they love it.
Yep.
They're doing it because they want something out of it.
Okay.
Everyone's getting into entrepreneurship
with the end goal out.
For the outcome. For the payout.
Yep.
Not for the process, and I think it's disrespecting it. When I was 4 or 5, I was, excuse me, 87, 82. When I was 6, I was going door to door, selling stuff that I found. I've told this story not in a long time. I used to rip people's flowers out of their yards and then ring the doorbell and try to sell back to them. Not super proud of that, but that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
You know, I think I like the kind of like the negative part of that story. The truth was I did do that.
Yeah.
I also picked flowers from other places and fields and tried to sell them. By the time I was 7, when I was 7, the summer of my 7, my birthday's in November, so call it 7 3/4.
Yep.
I was heavy, car wash, that winter, snow shoveling. Like by 7, 80% of my activities outside were business.
Yeah.
So I always say this. I really do believe that I was a purebred entrepreneur, that it was in me, that it was my DNA.
Would you say the genetic lottery?
100%.
Yeah. And now for kids who, let's say, for example, watching this now, who are 15, 16, 17, and look, there are a lot of us that go, I want to start a business, I want to get into entrepreneurship. Number one, you got the school system against you. Number two, you got your parents stacked against you. You've got society stacked against you. What would be the one piece of advice for anyone to go ahead and actually not just start, but actually build a successful business as a teenager?
Stop being audacious. If you want to do it, you have to be prepared for your parents not to financially support it.
Yeah.
That to me is number one. There's a lot of kids who want their cake and eat it too. They want to be a businesswoman, but they want their parents to pay for all their stuff. A real entrepreneur, in one man's opinion, deals with the ramifications of the first decade of shit.
Yeah.
So if you want to be an entrepreneur, and that hurts your parents' feelings because they want you to go to university, well then you better be prepared for them not to pay for your Uber or your TV or your clothes.
Yeah.
Like all these entrepreneurs that are like, Gary, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm rugged, and I look down at their shoes and I'm like, I do this a lot. I'm like, how'd you get those $900 shoes?
Yeah.
And
it comes the but. Yeah.
They're not sure where I'm going, and they're like, well, I bought them, and I'm like, how? One of the things I'm unbelievably proud of is a couple things. One, my parents stopped giving me money around 13.
Yep.
2, I did go to college because my parents wanted me to, and I'm okay with that. I took the vacation.
And did you, out of college, let's say for example, do you use any of the stuff that you took out of that into what you do today, and you wouldn't recommend anyone, especially entrepreneurship?
The best thing that happened to me about college was I went to an extremely urban school, so I was able to, live in the culture that has become the popular culture of our society.
Yeah.
Much of what I know about a lot of things that are considered cool today, whether in music or fashion or consumer behavior, those 4 years of being in a very diverse school environment, skewing unbelievably urban, gave me a lot of truth to my understanding that I don't think I would have been able to have if I didn't live in that cocoon.
Yeah, and look, if there was one business that you would recommend, off what you say there, if there was one business, let's say 15, 16-year-old again, watching it, flipping.
There's nothing even close.
Yeah.
There's nothing even close to being a flipper.
Okay.
Buying and selling Pokemon cards, sneakers, going to a store and buying closeout items and putting them on eBay. Nothing will teach you more than buying and selling stuff, because you learn how to negotiate. You learn hard work because it's a grind. You got to list it. You got to ship it.
Yep.
You learn market dynamics.
Yep.
You'll learn that you find some deal in some store, it's selling for $20 on the flip site, and then all of a sudden it's selling for $10 in a week, and you're like, wait a minute, what happened?
Yeah.
Supply and demand changed.
Yep.
I'm such an animal of the market that's what makes me so adaptable. I'm never comfortable because I know that yesterday is vulnerable tomorrow, and I'm very passionate about that. If a child is so passionate about Minecraft and Fortnite that they're willing to not get an iPhone, that they're willing to not get cool sneakers, that they're willing to not get all the stuff that all their friends get.
They give them 20 years and they'll win $4 million.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible.
The answer is to cut off financially at a scale that is so misunderstood. Because you're teaching proper behavior. Because when they go into real life, there's ramifications for not earning. Sometimes good. I still believe a stunning percentage of people that make $40,000 a year are far happier than people that make $4 million a year. The misery that I see at the $1 million level is remarkable.
And look, one thing that I see as well is that, you know, a lot of kids my age, especially, like, I'm still in high school, so a lot of kids going into next year, the question get asked, well, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? What do you want to do at university? Yeah. What do you, if you're a 17-year-old, what do you say to a parent or a teacher or someone that asks you that
ask the
question?
parent and teacher, are they happy? Are they happy with what they're doing for a living?
Yep.
Because that's what I did. When my 15-year-old Gary got made fun of by teachers, I looked them dead in the face. I did this 3 different times in high school and said, are you happy with the way your career ended? Like, you're telling me that I'm gonna be a failure because I got an F in science? Like, I have a very good read of what I'm gonna do with my life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a successful businessman. You may be right, Mrs. Stats. I remember your names.
Yep.
You may be right, Mrs. Stats, that I may be a failure. You also may be wrong. But before we guess what's gonna happen with me, let's focus on you. Are you happy with your life?